told so much as adults that like, oh, you got to be proper and
Right, yeah.
you know, but we actually, it's really healthy to tap into that childlike state. And sometimes when we need to talk about those blocks, sometimes those blocks come from our childhood. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes we need to be silly and tap into some of those past events and things to work through them, those past emotions.
Hi, welcome to Motivation to Write, and I am very excited for our guest today, Miss Noel Anderson. She is a music therapist, and she's going to be giving us some tips on how we can use music to de-stress. But before we get to Noel, let's catch up. I have a new page on my website, zazo.com, and it's called Tips and Clips, featuring tips and clips from my various guests over the past few weeks, so we can check that out. Also, if you follow me on Instagram or Facebook at Motivation to Write, that's one word, Motivation to Write, you can also catch the tips and clips because I post them on those two sites as well. Now let's learn a little bit about Miss Noel Anderson. Noel Anderson began singing doo-wop songs and writing her own songs before she could read or write legibly. At the age of 10, she began singing publicly and hasn't stopped performing since. Noel has been a music therapist for over a decade. Before founding Anderson Music Therapy, she established and developed a school-based music therapy program for children through adults with multiple disabilities. During this time, she loved working closely alongside speech, occupational, and physical therapists, as well as teachers and paraprofessionals, and she misses them a ton. Here's a fun fact about Noel. Her passion for music therapy has been shared globally, as she has used music therapy in both Africa and India. I'm here with Noel Anderson, and I am so happy. I was telling Noel that I majored in music as an undergrad, and I would always hear about music therapy, but never really knew what it was and never knew a music therapist. So I'm so excited that she's here because I love learning about new techniques to deal with stress. And as a writer, as a blogger who's kind of learning how to blog, I do find myself under a lot of stress. Like, is anyone reading my blog? What do I write about this week? All that stuff just can, plus I have a day job, so that's more stress on top of that. Yeah. So I'm glad that you're here, Noel Anderson.
Thank
so happy
you.
To see you.
Yeah, thank you for having me here.
So I was hoping maybe you could give us a little bit of your background, like how did you get into music therapy?
Yeah, so like you said, most people might not have met a music therapist or really know what music therapy is. We have this general idea of, oh, music is therapeutic. Yeah, I listen to music. It helps me feel better. But that's not music therapy. So yeah, that is therapeutic music. But music therapy is actually when there is a board certified music therapist with an established relationship, client therapist relationship, and they help they use music to help that individual meet whatever goals they want to. So that might be emotional, social, something cognitive. We work with individuals that have brain injury, so it might be something helping them with memory or attention skills. We work with people who are working through communication. So it could be like motor wise, that things aren't quite connecting in the brain, or it could be just kind of the pragmatics of communication, where there's these unwritten social rules that we know, like if somebody's talking, you wait and then the other person talks. Not everyone, their brain isn't wired the same way, and so sometimes we have to learn that. Hey, kitty. Sometimes we have to learn that. And hi.
Oh, there he is.
This is Schrodinger.
Schrodinger?
Yeah, it's with Schrodinger's cat. It's about paradox.
Oh, okay.
We call her Ding. But anyway, Sorry, my cat wants to be a part of the show.
No, I love
Um,
cats.
yeah, so we basically, as music therapists, we use music to help people overcome whatever barriers they're facing, so they can be their best selves um, at home and in the community.
So that's interesting. You use music to help people reach their goals.
Hmm.
Um, do people, because it sounds like a lot of the goals are more cognitive goals. Like, does anyone ever have some type of physical pain that
Oh,
music?
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So we actually work with people for pain management. We work with little itty bitties through older adults. So some of our adults have chronic pain. Some of our older adults have chronic pain. So we actually do use music to help them through that. And it does a couple things. One, when we listen to music, there's so many aspects to music. There's the timbre, there's the melody, the rhythm. If you have words, you have to process the lyrics as well. So our brain is lighting up all over the place
Mm-hmm.
when we hear music. And so that
Right.
doesn't leave much room for the brain to process pain. So that's
Mm,
one reason why music can help reduce that pain perception. But then also music, especially even our favorite music, but even with the anticipation of our favorite music, can release dopamine, which is
mm,
a happy, feel good chemical.
right.
Helps
Mhm.
uplift our mood, and
Yeah.
so that can combat the pain as well. And then motor wise, we also help individuals with their motor skills. So if you've ever noticed, if you're walking downtown and there's a musician playing, you automatically walk to the beat. And that's
Mm-hmm.
because of the way that our brain is wired. It wants to walk to the beat. So we can help people with Parkinson's, stroke, in rehab to be able to walk again more quickly with a steady gait
Mm-hmm.
using music.
Right. It's just amazing the power of music because I could sit and listen to like one of my most favorite pieces to listen to is Bach's Air Suite.
Oh, yes.
And
Yeah.
I just can't, I will start weeping. I don't know
Oh,
why I'm weeping, but it will just elicit all
it
these
touches
tears
you
out
somewhere.
of me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Oh,
it's so incredible how music can pull at your heartstrings, as they say.
yeah.
Can music have the adverse effect on people?
Yeah, it can. Um, it could be harmful, if for a couple reasons. One, if say if someone has an addiction or something and it reminds them of that time period when they
Yeah.
were struggling, it could cause a relapse.
Mm.
Um, Also, there's been studies that show when people dwell too much on, say, we pick music usually that resonates with us,
Right. Yeah.
but when people dwell too much on, say, depressing music, that
Mm.
can be counterproductive
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
then you get stuck. And so
Mm.
it's good to have the music to express that. It's good to have the music to help you know you're not alone, that
Mm-hmm.
other people have felt that way.
Right.
And um, but it's also good not to get stuck there.
Right.
That
Right.
is not helpful. And what you were saying with the music, with Bach, when you listen to that, or you listen to, if your listeners listen to any song that connects with them, take
Mm-hmm.
just a moment to feel like, where are you feeling that in your body?
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Because when we connect within ourselves, it could be
Mm-hmm.
grounding. Just having that awareness can reduce. Sometimes we get like this fatigue and we don't know where it's coming from. And
Mm.
sometimes it can come from the lack of self awareness that we don't. Obviously, there's so much stuff going on right now in the world, many things that can be fatiguing us. And if we don't process that, then it can just drain us emotionally, spiritually, physically. And we can listen to music and just be in the moment, and it helps bring self awareness to your body, to
Mm.
your mind, just being in the moment. And music helps us to be in the here and now if we let
So,
it.
speaking of music bringing us in the here and now, I was looking at your, you have, looks like you have a few websites, or you sent me a few links anyways.
Maybe. Oh.
Um, yeah. And there was one, I saw that you had like this whole section on deep breathing.
Uh-huh.
And there, I had no idea there was so many ways to, like, there was a happy breathing. There was, I don't even remember. It was just like, and I was like, wow,
Yeah.
how does the deep breathing tie into music, and how do you use that?
Yeah, yeah. So if we think about the structure of music
Yeah.
and how it's very organized,
Yeah.
um, typically a lot of our Western music is in, 4/4 or 3/4.
Right.
And so it gives us a very standard structure to be able to say breathe in for 4 beats, breathe out
Mm.
for 4 beats.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so it allows our body to get in a rhythm, supports the physical act of breathing, um, just with having that music there.
So for listeners who aren't like musically inclined or don't understand like 4/4,
Oh, sorry.
which you, yeah, you mean, so you would put on a piece of music and then you would
Yeah.
kind of just like breathe to the beat, like breathe
Yeah,
in for 4 and then exhale for 4 and then breathe in
exactly.
another 4, right? Okay.
Exactly. Yep. Yep.
Okay. And that yeah, I could, because breathing is essential to just calming down. It's one of the first things you want to do
Yes.
is breathe. I never really
It
thought of
calms. Yep.
breathing to just putting on a song and breathing to it. That's pretty,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, that's great. Now, you also talk about progressive music relaxation.
Uh-huh.
What is that?
Yeah, so it's the long version of the word is progressive muscle relaxation or music assisted progressive muscle relaxation. And what it is, it's so simple. It's just tightening your muscles and then
Uh-huh.
relaxing them.
Okay,
And
so it's like
yep, so
holding
just,
a fist.
yep, just hold it, but not so hard, not like hard that it hurts, but just
Uh-huh.
gently.
Uh-huh.
And what you can also do is breathe while you're doing that.
Hmm.
And then you let go and you'll feel the difference in your
Right.
muscles. And
Right.
what you can do it from head to toe, toe to head, whatever direction you want to go. But what happens is it brings awareness to your tension. A lot of times
Uh-huh.
we have tension in our bodies and we don't even know it.
Right.
Um, and piecing that together with the music, again, helps you be in the here and now, helps your attention to focus on the task at hand,
Hmm.
which is to tighten and relax. I
Uh-huh.
use, when I do it, I read a script basically along with the music. So you just follow the directions. And whenever I've had friends who have gone through cancer treatments or super stressful times, and I will send them the recording of me doing the progressive muscle relaxation because it helps to reduce pain.
Hmm.
um, Often when I do it in like presentations, people will say, "Oh, I had a headache and now it's gone,"
Right.
because that tension, we don't realize we're holding all this stuff inside, and
Hmm.
just tightening and relaxing allows
Hmm.
us to let go of some of that stuff.
Mm.
And so it can affect us. That physical aspect can affect us emotionally and
Hmm.
psychologically as well. And
Right.
having that music with it supports all that.
It sounds like a guided meditation, kind of, but with
Kind
like
of.
a physical aspect to it.
Exactly. Yep.
When I was first learning about energy healing, because I studied energy healing for a few years, I went to this. There was this, I guess it was kind of like a seminar in downtown LA, and it's called pranic healing. This
I've
particular,
heard of that.
yeah, and he taught us. He said to do this every morning. You wake up, you stand up, and you just like tense your muscles really tight, and you
Mm,
take a deep breath and hold it, and then you just release it really fast, release everything, like all your
huh.
muscles.
Yeah.
And it just, it wakes me up.
Yeah.
Like
That
it
sounds
just energizes
sounds like
me.
it would.
Yeah, or you would stand, like another variation, stand and like put your arms like this and tighten
Yep.
everything. Hold your breath, do your arms like this, and then like release
Wake you
everything.
up.
Put your arms down. Woo!
Wow.
Yeah, but it's just that contracting the muscles and then releasing them. It
Yep.
is like you say, it brings awareness to the body, and it felt really
Yes.
good. So yeah.
Yeah. the other neat piece with pairing music is if you use the same music every time, then you can actually train your brain when you hear the music, your body will automatically relax. So it's
Right.
called autogenic something or other, but it basically it trains your brain to relax when it hears that sound. So
That's
you can also use that
interesting.
for sleep too. That's what I do.
Right, because your brain recognizes it's that music is almost like a trigger. It
Mm-hmm.
says like, okay, it's time to relax or you're
Exactly. Yep.
safe, right?
Exactly.
So, can we talk a little bit about like music and memory, like not
Yeah.
just this memory, but like your body's memory? Because I remember
Yeah.
watching this documentary on Netflix like a few years ago, and it was about these elderly people. And I think you actually talk about you work with someone in dementia in your YouTube
Yeah.
video,
Mm-hmm.
but they have dementia and like could not remember hardly anything. It could not hold a conversation with, at least not like a,
Mm-hmm.
you
Was it
know,
Henry? the
Henry.
the music and memory.
The name of the documentary, you mean?
No, yeah, the name of the documentary was it Music and
I
was it
I
Music
can't
and Memory
remember
or
it, but
Memory?
I
Not
think it was
sure.
something like that.
Yeah.
But there was but there was this one man. Oh, I think it was. But
Was
his
it
name was Henry.
Henry?
Okay, yeah. So you know what
Yeah.
I'm talking about.
Yes.
So he like would hear. I don't know if he would hear a song, and he would just start singing it, and then he
Yeah.
would just it would trigger all these memories, and then he would start
Mm-hmm.
telling all this, and it was so shocking to see
Yeah.
how music uh, just gave him so much clarity for like a
Mm-hmm.
moment.
Yep.
And then he would
Yeah.
just kind of go back into oblivion. But
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
powerful. Like, how does that
Yeah.
happen?
Yeah. So a couple things. Um, Music is emotion. It's not just sound. And so our emotions, any emotion, like strong emotion, whether it's super happy or super sad, it gets encoded pretty deeply into our brain. So when you hear music and you have an emotional connection to it, that's one way it's going to get deeply encoded. Then
Mm.
also you think about in all the structure of music, how it's predictable, how it's organized. Our brain wants things that are understandable, that are organized, that are uh, patterns. Our brain wants these patterns to make
Mhm.
sense of things. And so because music is so predictable and in these wonderfully organized packages, it's
Mhm.
easy to encode that information. That's why we learn
Mm.
our ABCs with a song.
Mm.
All
Or the
these.
state capitals, or
Oh yeah, I never learned that song, but I know what you're talking
right.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's why we put information to a song and we can remember it because it's in this package that's very organized. So you pair that emotion with that organization, and then also the fact that music gets our attention. It lights up our frontal lobes, where kind of the centers for attention are. And so you have a very fine tuned focus on a piece of music and emotions and patterns and organization. And it's like the brain holds
Oh.
so tightly to that. The hippocampus and um, oh, I can't remember the other area, but the
Right.
hippocampus is a main area where our emotional memories and musical
Mm.
memories remain.
Mhm.
And they think that one of the last areas to atrophy with dementia is whatever that area is that holds those musical memories. And so that's
Oh.
why a lot of our older adults, even when they can't talk anymore, they can
Right.
still at least have a brain affect and recognition that they recognize that song. Sometimes they can even sing, like you said with Henry.
Right, right. And sometimes it has, I don't know if it's called the opposite effect, but I'm thinking in cases where you're like in a car accident and there's a song that plays
Mm,
at the time of the accident, and then
yeah.
years later you might hear that song and it brings up all of that,
Oh
the
yeah.
trauma of the accident. But
Very
it's so
true.
interesting that it's music's organization that
Hmm.
makes it so easy for the brain to kind of hold on to it.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. That's interesting. So you also talk about using songwriting so
Mhm.
as therapy. So how does that work? Because it can be challenging teaching someone how to write a song.
Yeah. Yeah, so what I would recommend for for anyone who is not a songwriter,
Hmm.
but if they're a writer, they know their words. They know
Hmm.
how to construct, a picture with their
Hmm.
words. And
Hmm.
so take a song that you know and just
Hmm.
change some of the words. You have the melody there. You can find karaoke tracks on YouTube for free. Just
Hmm.
take a
Yeah.
track and change the words. Maybe change a word here and there, or change the chorus, or whatever suits what you wanted to say. Just change
Hmm.
it. You're not going to
Hmm.
be selling it. It's not like you're
Exactly.
breaking any
I
laws.
was going to say, don't
Just for
record
you.
it.
Just
Yeah.
for you. Though there are parody laws, but
Right.
don't I wouldn't.
Exactly. Okay. And so changing the lyric
Yeah,
to personalize it,
exactly.
it has that, it can be healing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
especially if you share it with someone. You don't have to, but that that taking that time to share your thoughts and your feelings with someone else and feel heard
Mm.
and listened to and validated, that is very healing. Uh, so if you feel comfortable, you have a safe person to do that with, I would definitely encourage people to do that for an extra healing benefit, you know?
Right, right. Yeah. I like how you say music can help us to be heard, like
Mm-hmm.
feel valid. And because I think that that's something that we struggle with, especially, I hope I'm not blocking off the mic or just had my
Oh,
hands
no,
like
I
this.
think you're good.
Especially as writers, we can feel like we're not being heard because we feel like no one's reading us. No one's responding to us on social media. No one. So if I feel that way, one thing I can do is I can go to take a song I like and I can change the lyric to reflect my feeling of like I'm not being heard, but I know I have something valid to say, and I can use it to uplift myself.
Absolutely. And that creative process as well can help you in your writing, just help you get through, like to get something out on paper separates it from you. And so it can help you just to process and get through if that's a roadblock, or a block in your mindset, that can help you to work through that.
Do people come to you a lot with some type of, like, as you say, blockage in their mindset where they really want to achieve, like, let's say I want to be a writer and there's something that is like mentally that I can't get over to even get myself to write.
Mm.
Is that something that music therapy could help?
It could. I mean, it depends what is blocking that. Um, but I mean, it's definitely can't hurt to process that with someone,
Right, right, yeah.
because some people just process verbally, or you can process it musically. If you don't
Mm-hmm.
process verbally, I tend to not process verbally. So
Mm,
that's why I'm drawn to music, because that helps me
mm.
first be like, to get that out, and then I can process verbally.
So what about so if they don't process verbally, what about physical movement? Like, do we dance in music therapy or
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes yeah, again, it depends on what we're working on and how comfortable people are with that. But I mean, movement is always therapeutic as well.
right? Yeah, it is.
So pairing that with, we do work with a lot of kids with sensory needs and stuff like that. So, but we all have sensory needs. We all need to move. Sometimes um, we need to feel grounded.
Mm,
So
mm.
they call that deep input sometimes, like with our kiddos we will you know do the like a muscle
Right, like the deep
uh
muscle.
pressure
This,
pressure
yes,
Yeah.
okay.
So trying to get words out,
Right,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. This.
This thing that you can't see if
Yeah.
you're just listening to
Exactly.
me. But yeah, like deep pressure in the muscles helps us to feel grounded. And so when we get any kind of pressure into those joints,
Mm,
when we're marching or lifting our legs or moving our arms out, or playing drums, that's going to help us feel more grounded because we're getting those vibrations into our joints, and help us know where our body is in space. And that sometimes we are so lost in our thoughts, especially right now. There's with all the stuff going on, it's easy to get overwhelmed, and so sometimes it is good just to come back physically and yeah, just move our bodies to the beat. Again, having music that is structured and organized can help to organize our brain, and so we can feel more alert if we're tired. um, Having some like more upbeat music that has a very steady rhythm. We can also, you were mentioning with kind of, was it meditation you had mentioned before? Yeah, if we need to calm down and just kind of relax our body, then we listen to music that's more calming and relaxing. That's a slower beat per minute. It's all pretty common sense when we think about it.
right, right.
You know, faster music, more awake, slower music, more relaxed.
Yeah, I think there might be some people that would hear this and think, that just sounds like it's for kids, all the singing and the dancing and the movie. Like how can a 44-year-old adult, like how is that going to help me? I don't have a singing bone in my body. I don't have any musical talent whatsoever. And I don't want to feel like I'm silly. I don't want to look
Right,
and
right.
feel. Have you ever had people come in like that?
Oh yeah, yeah. Especially when I go to do like presentations that people aren't used to. I think we're told so much as adults that like, oh, you got to be proper and
Right, yeah.
you know, but we actually, it's really healthy to tap into that childlike state.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and sometimes when we need to say talk about those blocks, sometimes those blocks come from our childhood. And
Mm-hmm.
so sometimes we need to be silly and tap into some of those past events and things to work through them, those past emotions. Um, but also, if you think of just the physical benefits of singing, deep breathing, help to expand your lungs and
Mm-hmm.
stretch those muscles.
Mm-hmm.
Also, it can release, if you sing out, sing out loud and strong, can
Mm-hmm.
release immunoglobulin A, which is an antibody that helps
Mm-hmm.
boost our immune system. We
Mm-hmm.
need that, we need that. Also, singing with other people right now is not so much recommended, but if it's with your family members,
Mm-hmm.
singing can release oxytocin, which is a
Right.
bonding chemical, helps you feel
Yeah.
closer to other people.
Mm-hmm.
Singing can release dopamine and serotonin,
Mm-hmm.
so uplifts you, helps stabilize your mood. So
Yeah.
if you think about some of the, if you need to think about some of the more scientific things to help
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
ease your mind and be like, it's not silly, it's scientific, then
Right. Right. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
then it's all about the mindset there.
I think that that's why what makes choirs so fun and meaningful for people, because you're singing with this group of people, and there's
Mm-hmm.
something about creating music together
Yeah.
that does bond you. And it's also very healing. I loved being in choirs all throughout college. I was in
Yeah, that's
choirs, and
awesome.
it was after the end of the day, because I would have a choir. I was in like a few of them, but there was always one at
Hmm.
the end of the day that would
Always.
meet, and I would just, yeah, and I just
Exhausted
would
and then
feel so like I could go to choir practice feeling tired, and then
hmm.
afterwards I would feel so energized.
Yep.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just
isn't that
something
amazing?
about that. Yeah, yeah.
All the neurochemicals in there. Yeah.
Yeah. So how would you, so let's say that I came to you and I said, Noel, I'm feeling, as I was mentioning earlier, I'm feeling a little stressed
Mhm.
with work and with writing, and I really like music. And I just want to know, like, can you advise me or help me on how I can use music to relax myself, to kind of take away the stress?
Mhm. Yeah, I would probably would first recommend the progressive muscle relaxation,
Okay. All
because you
right.
can take that anywhere you are.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Could I choose my own music for that, or does that, or should I be using a specific type of music for,
you can choose your own music. What I recommend is ideally music that doesn't have a beat, music that,
like that
so
new agey type?
yeah, that's what
Woo!
I like. But everyone has their own preferences. So
Yeah, DJ. I'm laughing because I work with the teacher that she would play that type of music in her
really,
class, and the kids seem to not mind. But I would walk in and think,
that's
"Oh my
funny.
gosh!" Meanwhile, in my
That's
classroom, I was
funny.
playing like top
Like,
40, and the kids were like singing while they're
sweet.
doing their work, and she's like,
That's
"What is
awesome.
going on here?" Anyways, so
Oh,
the
but
new
yeah, it can be.
it can be
I would
okay.
recommend whatever you find relaxing, but ideally something that has a steady volume and a steady tempo. If you're going to go
Mm,
with something that has a beat, just to be steady, so it doesn't, as you're doing your relaxation, so like whoa, it doesn't
right,
scare
right,
you.
right. Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, you can totally pick your own music, and that, find something that helps you relax, that you relate to, relaxation. So that might not be the same as me.
Right, right, right. So I'm going to find some relaxing music, preferably something that is meditative and not, boom, boom, boom,
Yeah.
right? And I'm going to like inhale and contract my muscles,
Hmm.
and then exhale, release my muscles, but to like rhythmically.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be precise. So
Mm-hmm, hmm.
I usually just count like, I don't know, six, eight. It doesn't have to be precise.
Right.
Just
Okay.
hold it for a little bit. And you're gonna go with every muscle group. So, and you
Mm.
can do one side at a time. So even
Uh-huh.
like your eyes, you tense, your whole like face, you make a goofy face.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Your neck, you can tense just by tilting your head back a little. Same thing with your back, and just really gently. Your legs, you can tense by just lifting up your leg.
Mm-hmm.
Then the what is that bottom muscle of your leg called? Can't
Oh, the
remember.
tendon? No, not
Not
the.
that. I can't remember, but the bottom part
No.
muscle of your leg.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
You can tense that by
Uh-huh.
straightening your leg, or by lifting your foot up. And then you
Mm-hmm.
can even like curl your toes to tighten your toes. So
Mm-hmm.
literally every muscle group you're going to work through as you're listening to the music, one by one. Notice as you release the difference between, I would start on one side. So notice the difference of your side that you release versus the side that's still tense.
Mm.
And again, bringing awareness to your body, bringing awareness to just relaxing all those muscle groups. And at the end, I often have people fall asleep.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
But if you don't want to fall asleep, well, some people still fall asleep when they're sitting, but I recommend to sit up in a comfortable position and just try that. If you do need to sleep, then lay down and do that. And sometimes that will help you fall asleep. So if
Mm-hmm.
that's what you need for your stress relief, then you can do it laying down and see if that helps you fall asleep. In that case, I would definitely recommend music that does not have a beat, because that's going to
Mm.
keep your brain active and keep that dopamine dripping on every beat, which you don't need necessarily when you're trying to sleep.
Right, right. And I hope that anyone watching or listening really does try this, because there is something that is very relaxing and powerful about just like giving attention to different parts of your body,
Hmm.
and really feeling, because when you contract and then release, you just really feel the energy of your body. Like a lot of us aren't
Yeah,
even in tune to ourselves energetically.
that's true.
And when
Yeah.
you do that, you could actually feel the, as what they call it, the chi or the energy just kind of moving through you. So that's great.
Hmm.
So I could do that. That's the progressive muscle relaxation. I might consider the songwriting
Yeah.
if I was feeling a little stressed. Okay, we kind of talked about that. Well, you know what we didn't talk about is the guided imagery. I think you mentioned
Oh,
that on your site. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
yeah. So that is, it's related in some ways to progressive muscle relaxation in that you might pick some like similar music.
Mm-hmm.
The guided imagery can be either picturing a place where you feel really relaxed,
Mm-hmm.
or sometimes there's specific scripts that go through, like you're walking down a path, you're imagine, whoever you want to be with you, or you can be alone. Whatever is the image that you need to feel relaxed, you can imagine that.
Mm-hmm.
That's the easiest. There's all different kinds, but that's probably the
Mm-hmm.
easiest um, way to do guided imagery.
But you're doing it to music.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Okay.
so sometimes in that case, um, that your choice of music is even more important because the music can paint a picture. And so you want to make sure it's music that sounds like where you want to go. Some
Mm-hmm.
music can bring up images like the actual guided imagery in music, which is called GIM for short. That is very different than just like a guided imagery. Um, so yeah, we won't go there, but but
Okay.
just it's the way that GIM works is it taps into your subconscious,
Mm.
so you can process things subconsciously
Mm-hmm.
through the. It's almost like you're in a dream state
Mm-hmm.
when you're in GIM, and so you process things that way. This is just a guided imagery where it's more so less of a dream state, more of a present meditation, I would
Mm-hmm.
say.
Mm-hmm.
Does
Mm-hmm.
that make any sense?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you know how you could listen to guided meditations on Spotify or whatever.
Exactly. And you just
So
pair
yeah,
music with that.
right.
Because
Yeah,
the
yeah.
music supports you emotionally, um, and helps you stay focused too.
Right. Yeah. And I like how you talk about imagery because imagery is super powerful in anything like a story, like a
Hmm.
poem, song lyrics. I'm actually teaching now this hip hop poetry class.
Oh, how cool is that?
It's kind of like last minute class that my administrator put together. So, but we're learning about imagery in poetry and in hip hop,
Yeah.
and it can really bring your narrative to life, and certain images can really evoke
Mm,
emotions
yes.
from the reader or the listener. So that's really important. Music, how can music be used to get someone to kind of come out of their shell?
Mm.
Like, does anyone ever come to you that's a little shy or timid and they want to kind of break free from that
Oh yeah.
and you use music? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. Because music, you don't have to be verbal. You don't have to verbally communicate. It gives kind of an even playing ground for everybody. And you can express yourself through the music first. And then when you feel comfortable, then you can verbally share. It also gives kind of uh, like a topic or a hobby to be able to communicate about. So you don't have that pressure of, oh, I need to talk about myself or, anything like that. You can talk about what's happening in the music or who's playing what instrument. Um, or also when you're facilitating songwriting, it allows you for everybody to give bits and pieces that end up making a whole song. So
Mm.
it kind of facilitates conversation
Mm.
in the songwriting. It helps people, I guess, when you have that structure of music, that expectation, that organization, it takes away some of that anxiety because you know what
Mm.
to expect. There's a beginning and an end to a song.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so some of that predictability can help to ease anxiety.
Mm. Sometimes on Spotify, I'll listen to the okay, sound baths. I don't know if are you
Yeah.
familiar with sound baths? Okay,
Uh-huh.
I love
Yeah.
sound baths because I guess the like the theory behind it is that music is produced by vibrations
Hmm.
moving through the air, and they, vibrate at certain frequencies. And there are certain frequencies that can like trigger, I don't know what they trigger in your body, but they relax you somehow just listening to, like 440 frequencies or
Hertz or
whatever.
something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you use some of that in your
Uh,
therapy?
I personally don't. That's more like sound therapy, but
Mm.
I do know at least one music therapist that does use like the singing bowls
Oh my
in
gosh, I
in
love
her
those.
music therapy. Yeah,
Yes.
but that's probably more uncommon in a music therapist, more common in a sound, I guess a sound healer, or I
Right.
don't know if they're
Yeah.
called
Yeah.
sound therapists. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But to be in that, like that alive, if you're there live and getting a sound
Oh
bath,
yeah, it's
it's
like
just the most.
uh, well,
Yes.
a neat thing that's similar to that is toning. Have you ever experienced that?
I've heard of toning. Can you remind me what it is?
Yeah, so it's basically just vocalizing
Okay.
on a vowel or a sound.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And
Yes.
when you have a room, I've done a couple uh, toning groups, and when you have a room full of people toning, again, it comes with that those vibrations and how you just it's like a bath of sound, and it's
Oh my
just so like
gosh.
it gets like
Yeah.
kind of that big choir feeling almost,
Yeah.
but you don't
Yeah.
have to be a trained musician to be part of it, so
Right. Yeah.
you get the
Yeah.
benefits without having to be a trained musician.
It sounds like you could just go into this really nice trance.
It kind of is. It kind of
Yeah,
is.
if you're doing that. Because are you all toning on the same pitch, or there are
No,
harmonies?
yeah, there's harmonies, there's
Yeah.
dissonance, there's
Wow.
all sorts of stuff. And I love to create the dissonance a little bit,
Yeah.
because then when you resolve, it just feels so good.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that sounds wonderful. You mentioned earlier we were talking about like the shy person that might come to you for help to kind of get out of their shyness.
Hmm.
A lot of time, have you found that a lot of times shyness is also an ego issue,
Mm.
because you're not, even though you're not like this extrovert that's yelling and getting all this attention, still the shy person kind of feels that it's kind of everything is all about them. Like they're scared of saying the wrong thing because they're scared of being
Hmm.
judged, or they don't, if I do this, people are going to think this way about me, or I
Right.
can't. Do you
Hmm.
see that? Yeah.
I mean, I what I have found is sometimes that there could be a lot of reasons, but one could be just a confidence issue. And like you're
Mm.
saying, that self-talk, and
Mm-hmm.
that it's
Yes.
so, I think you had on your Twitter today, like question your thoughts.
I
Um,
was like, is that Noel Anderson that
yeah.
I'm talking with tonight?
Yes,
Okay.
because so much we have this self-talk in our head that we don't even notice. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
we're so used to it,
Mm-hmm.
and we just assume that it's truth when
Mm-hmm.
it's often not. And
Right.
so, a lot of times people will think, oh, so and so is thinking something about me, and then they're not at all. Like they're
Right.
thinking
Yeah.
about themselves.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you know, everybody's just thinking about themselves.
Right.
Um, and if we can get out of that, what I call sticky thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
by becoming more self-aware, by realizing those sticky thoughts that we keep putting into our brain,
Yeah.
uh, that can help our confidence. If we keep telling ourselves that we're awkward, we're too shy, we're weird, we can't talk to people, if we keep telling ourselves these things, they might manifest.
Right. Yeah.
but
Yeah. Yeah.
um, but like we're not going to be able to we're not going to be able to break out of that shy shell because
Mm-hmm.
we're always thinking that we're in our own minds and not in the moment, in the here and
Mm-hmm.
now. And that's one
Mm-hmm.
thing that music can help us do, is be in the here and now and practice being present, just listening to a song for 5 minutes and thinking about the lyrics. Practice being in the moment. If you can play an instrument, just play it for 5 minutes, and
Mm-hmm.
be in that moment. with no judgment. Practice not judging yourself, which is so hard sometimes as trained musicians, because that's
Yes.
the culture.
I was just going to talk about that because I
Yeah.
was thinking when I was in college studying music, it was a very stressful.
Yeah.
I thought of quitting
Oh,
because
me
it was
too.
just every time I would have at the end of the year. I don't know if you guys had this, but at the end of the semester, you have juries where you have to perform in front of.
Yes.
I would
Hate
always
those.
get laryngitis.
I
I
would
would
always get
always get
sick too.
laryngitis. Yes, and I remember telling my professor, or talking about
Yep.
trying to talk to my professor like this. And he's
Oh
like, oh,
man.
it's stress, it's stress, it's always stress. But I was caught up in my ego and all of the pressure that's put
Yep.
on
Yep.
musicians to literally be
Absolutely.
perfect.
Hmm.
Like
Yes.
everything has to be perfect. And I
Yes.
just wish that we all would have studied a little bit about this music therapy or gone through music therapy
Right.
ourselves. Maybe it would have made a difference for a lot of us, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
Yeah, I think having some of, like you said, like I got sick every time right before juries too. And
Mm-hmm.
it really was the stress, but no one was talking about it. No one was giving
Mm-hmm.
us coping skills to deal with
Right.
that stress. So it
Right.
just all went into the body and broke it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I would just, I can remember, it got so bad. Actually, I didn't know it was this bad. I didn't know that my stress was so bad until I went back to the same college for graduate school. And I would walk down the same hall that I would pace while I was waiting
Oh
for them to call
no.
my name.
Yeah.
And all of that, like just walking down the hall, all those feelings like came over me. And I was like,
Oh, yeah.
oh my gosh, this is
Wow.
not the business. But the choirs helped. Like
Mm-hmm.
that was kind of like my saving grace was just being in that space and vocalizing with other people, just
Yeah.
so healing. Yeah. Yeah. So how, because when I was in music school, well, I was in school studying music, a lot of the music majors were men. I
Hmm.
was, you know what, and it might be because we had an audio recording major or
Oh,
program.
okay.
So we had a
Yeah.
music therapists. Is that a field? Are there mostly women or men, or is it like a mix?
Yeah, so the majority of our profession are women.
That's so
Yeah.
interesting.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Mm,
Um, I don't really
mm,
know why.
yeah.
It seems like it's more men are coming into the field now,
Hmm.
but it's still definitely predominantly women.
Right. Yeah. Do you guys ever do like a couples therapy with music?
We totally could. We haven't in
Oh,
my practice, but totally could. Um,
that would be interesting.
yeah, I mean, it would be. I'm just thinking, I'm just picturing it in my head, to be
Yeah.
able to share that with somebody else and to be able to express your emotions through a song rather than having to just talk about it.
Right.
I
Right.
think
Right.
that would be nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Music can be so personal to people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so I sometimes feel a little apprehensive as a teacher, like, because I used to teach music. I was a music teacher for
Oh,
like 10
awesome.
years. I did
Oh,
high school
wow.
music. And I'd share like one of my favorite pieces, and the kids were just not having it, like,
Oh,
right.
yeah.
And it would really hurt me. Like, how
Oh,
could you not?
yeah.
Like, it had really nothing to do with me. They just didn't like the
Right.
songs, not like they didn't like me. But I personalized it, and
Mm-hmm.
I wonder why that happens. Like,
Hmm.
sometimes I'm scared to even share like a playlist to a friend because I'm like, I don't know, or I mean,
Oh,
you know, like it.
yeah.
Do you know why that happens?
Do I, you want me to therapize you?
Has that
I
ever
don't
happened to
know.
you?
We would have to explore that.
Okay, yeah.
But but I
I'll make an
can
appointment
say
next week.
but I can say that with our teens in
Mhm.
school, we actually work on practicing not judging other people's music
Mm. This
as
is
an
a
ex.
big deal, by the
Yes.
way, like judging other people's taste in music. You have a lot of
Yes.
music snobs out there. to sing.
A lot of people with opinions, yeah.
Yeah.
But we use that exercise of listening to all different genres, um, to help people learn to not judge other people's favorite things. Like, don't
Hmm.
just jump to an conclusion just because you've never heard of it before, or
Hmm.
whatever that is. And we use the music, to practice that skill, to practice that impulse control,
Right. Yeah.
of not being like,
Right.
all those
Yeah.
grunts you would get from teens.
Yeah.
um, but yeah.
I know those grunts well.
But sometimes it's good to expand our music horizons. And
Hmm.
like, I hated country music for a long time.
Right.
And then my really good friend in college, she loved country line dancing. She's like, come with me. And I was like,
Mm.
oh, okay. And the more I heard it, what I realized, the more I hear it, the more I hear, you get used to it. And then
Hmm.
eventually it's like, this is not so bad,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
sometimes you even think, I like that song.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's that exposure, and then re-exposing, and your ear learns it, and it
Right.
learns to be like, oh, this is familiar, and it learns to be okay with it.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever hated country music. I mean, I've always just loved music as a kid. I
Yeah.
always grew up with, and I used to love, I was also a dancer all throughout, I like tap and all everything. But I can remember in elementary school doing square dancing and loving it. I didn't really listen to like country music on the radio until like Trisha Yearwood became really popular, and I bought like one of her first albums. And I was like, oh,
Oh,
I really like country music. You know? But
I
I
just
think it's important that we do expand our horizons. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, sorry. I was just because I was a training, you know, vocalist. I just couldn't stand that they sang the diphthongs. Like the
Mm.
hey,
Yeah,
you know.
this like the scooping. I think my vocal teacher
Yeah,
used
the
to call it scooping.
scooping and the
Yeah,
diphthongs, like singing
yeah,
two vowels. Yeah, didn't like
yeah.
that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I really want to just encourage people that like if you find yourself just kind of being biased or only listening to this type, I only like
Yeah.
rock or I only like whatever, really try something else because you never know what you're going to discover
Yeah.
and it could completely like change your life. I mean, I have music from so many different, I have a music from the Appalachia. I like have this
That's
CD.
awesome. That's where I am.
Oh yeah? What state are you in?
Yeah. Virginia.
Oh wow, yeah, you are. Yeah, that's great. But it's so music is so powerful, as you said, and I'm just so happy that you were here to share all of your knowledge about music and the way that we can use it to help
Yeah.
our stress. Because I think it's not something that we really think about. I think some of us
Mhm.
just intuitively do it, like you're feeling stressed,
Yep.
you put on your favorite song or whatever. But to do it consciously, with the muscle
Right.
relaxations and stuff, that can be a very good help for people.
Yeah, or even just
Yeah,
sitting in the moment and listening to the lyrics and
right.
noting, why am I resonating with this song right now? Even just that 5 minutes can be helpful,
Wow.
with your self
Yeah.
awareness.
That's great. Yeah, music to bring self-awareness. I love that
Yeah.
idea. This has been so
Yeah.
wonderful, Noel.
Oh, thank
Can
you.
can you tell us where we can find you?
Sure. So, my website is letter A, musictherapy.com. It's
Mhm.
a musictherapy.com. And then I hang out mostly on Facebook. If you search for Anderson Music Therapy, you can follow me there. A little bit on Instagram, not a whole lot because I feel very
Uh,
old when I go on there.
I don't
But
have one yet, but I'm getting one. I'm gonna
you can
try.
follow me on there if you'd like to see a
Yeah.
post every once in a while. But the best place to find me is on Facebook.
And I would also encourage anyone to watch your the YouTube clip that you sent
Oh,
me with
yeah,
you
thank
working
you.
with the young lady. That was really touching. Where can we find that clip? Oh, I could just post it. I can post it. Do you
Okay.
mind if I post
Yeah.
it?
Was it the talk that I gave at the Hoot and Holler, or
It was the one where you had the audience sing that song.
yes.
When I want, yeah, 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 that one.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. So it's on YouTube. And I think you might be able to find me, but probably just posting would be easy. It's on
yeah.
my website as well
Okay,
at the
okay.
bottom. of the first page.
Do you have any like last words of wisdom or encouragement for people who are feeling stressed and don't ever think about music or want to try incorporating music or anything to anybody?
Yeah, so I guess two things. One, is just remember that you are not your feelings.
Mm.
Um, the cat wants to tell that as well.
The cat
Um,
second that one. Yes, meow
yeah,
meow.
yeah. When we say I am stressed, it's like it's overpowering us. It's like I am the stress, but you're
Mhm.
not. You're feeling stressed, and
There it is.
and and the stress, that feeling, is just telling you that something you value is being challenged. So whether that's um, you feel stressed because you want to spend more time with your family and you're stuck at work.
Mhm.
You feel stressed because whatever. Um, but the key is to realize, okay, what value of mine is being challenged in this moment?
Mm.
That's
Mhm.
the reason I feel this way. And so that's the thing to tackle. That's the thing to process. That's the thing to figure out a solution for, so you
Mm.
can overcome that feeling. And of course, I encourage you to use music
Mhm.
to meet all the areas of self care, whether that's physical, spiritual, emotional, social, psychological. There's ways we can build music into our day, physically moving, like you said, to the
Mhm.
music. Exercising with music helps us it feel uh, easier. Also, listening to music maybe when you're praying or reading a spiritual book can help you to
Mhm.
focus and get more in tune with being in the moment.
Mhm.
um, Listening to music and processing your emotions, like we talked a lot about today. If you can socially distance with some coffee and listen
Mm.
to some music with a friend,
Yeah.
you get the social aspect, and you get the emotional aspect with being able to share that music with somebody. And then maybe learn a new instrument, psychological,
Mm.
self-care, keeping your brain limber and learning something new. We're never too old to learn.
Right. You can pick up a kazoo, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Kazoo choir.
Yeah, those are great. There was this commercial like last year.
Yes,
Yeah, that
yes.
was great. Was it Facebook or something? It
Oh,
was, I think it
I
was a
forget what it
commercial for
was.
Facebook, but yeah, that was great.
Like Facebook groups or something. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Noel Anderson, thank you so much for joining
Yeah.
me. This was
Thank
great.
you. Thank
I
you.
had so much fun talking to Noel Anderson. I love the exercise where you tense up and then you release your muscles to music. I think that I hope that this episode inspired you to use music a little bit more therapeutically in your lives, because it really does help you get in touch with your body, get in touch with your feelings, and it can help you to de-escalate, especially at the end of the day, to just kind of cool down into sleep. So I'm very grateful for Noel. Tune in next week. I am excited to have motivational speaker and author Sir Amazing. He is going to be talking to us about how we can live a life of courage, how we can live a life of purpose, how we can lean into success, how we can become better versions of ourselves. So that's next week, Sir Amazing. I'm excited for that conversation. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.